Time for Street Talk. This week we have got six stories, to talk about, covering the 3 episodes of Corrie this week. We had been calling the David storyline Street Fighter, hadn't we? Because we were convinced that it was in some sort of secret underground fight club. But it turned out he was just a big chicken and running away from the fights.
Well, I said we thought he was doing a fight club, but he's actually doing a Forrest Gump.
Yes, because he's actually running, we're going to call this storyline title for this week, The Street Fight or Flighter.
I think it should be just Street Flighter.
Street Flighter then, fine, whatever. And also Shona's back, who doesn't make it into the storyline title this week, but the show must go on.
Oh,
that just came to me.
Show must go on.
No, just show is fine.
Okay,
That's the abbreviation. Then we're going to talk about the serious case of the Ollie Wobbles, which is getting more serious by the week. Bailout returns, and it was more about that than the racism, wasn't it? Racism in Weatherfield is now cured after Ed's amazing speech last week. I didn't get that much of a mention, and I think the status of peanut butter became the main talking point in the Bailey household on Monday's episode. I
have to say, I've heard some really ignorant statements on Coronation Street from characters, Dom last week being racist, but the Bailey's talking about peanut butter. Oh my God.
I can't even remember what they were saying.
They were saying things like...
has it got butter in?
Has it got butter in it? No. And then Aggie was saying it should be called nut spread. I think legally, I think in some countries, they if you imported their peanut butter, it wouldn't be able to be called peanut butter over here, because you've got to have a certain amount of peanuts in it for it to be legally even called peanut butter, which when you think about it is nonsensical, but there you go.
What would you call it if it had Marmite in?
Abomination.
Travesty. I would call it nut spread with yeast extract.
Oh wow, that sounds great.
I'd buy me some of that.
Let's get a case.
Tonight's episode, which I think sounded like it was at the beginning of a week again, they'd come back to. We got to see the date on Jeff's video phone today. It's the 27th of April this was supposed to be broadcast. So over a month.
Yeah.
So that was more the Yaz fighting storyline, although she isn't putting up much of a fight at the moment.
And she's only fighting Alia.
Yes.
Which, I mean, fair enough.
And Asher Flasher's returned. I kind of thought that story was over for now, but it looks like there is more to say, which includes dragging the teaching profession through the mud and making us look like we don't know what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Well, they got to justify recasting Ardy, don't they?
Yes. To be honest, I didn't think that Adam Hussein had filmed any more episodes. I don't know where I got that impression from, but I was quite surprised to see him pop up in today's episode.
Well, I was looking at my phone when Asher, when they were sort of talking about the fact that he was it became apparent that he was in the scene, and I looked up and I had forgotten that he was recast. I was like, oh, it's that guy. Yeah, I forgot about that. It's good to see him back. I'm glad that he's got some more scenes, even though he's being very naughty and fighting.
Yes, I know. We didn't get to see it this time, though.
No.
Tragic. Speaking of fighting or flighting, Gemma.
Yeah. Happy flighting.
Would you like to do this one?
Oh, okay.
Start off this week. The show must go on.
Yeah, so David is running. He is trying to run his problems away because Shona's having an assessment to see if she can come home. And we see Shona, this is the first time we've seen her for a good while, isn't it?
Not very long.
No, they have handled this.
This is like the best, most seamlessly handled maternity leave, literally ever in Coronation Street. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's only been...
I'm just going to say, I don't know how Julia Goulding worked it out and how much time she had off and stuff, but obviously some people take more time off than others, and it's not always possible.
Helen Flanagan, where are you?
Look, Michael, it's not always possible to it's not always possible to not have the screen time drop as much, but they've done a really great job, and I don't know how they managed it, but I'm sure it was a lot of hard work. And we let you know, Coronation Street, Julia Goulding, we really appreciated how this was handled.
Absolutely.
Really cool. But I just don't want to make anyone else feel guilty about how they handled their maternity leave, because
of course not.
Obviously you've changed your whole life, haven't you?
You've had a baby. You've popped
stuff
out a
to do. Apparently, there's more stuff to do when there's a baby.
Yes,
around the
I
house.
believe so. Because we last saw her January, February time. I can't remember. She kept surprising us how often she was in it. And I'm sure that she must have pre-filmed some of the scenes. I
don't know how they
long
did it,
before
but
she went off on maternity.
Really great job. And
the thing is, as well, if this had been shown in April, that literally would have maybe only been 6-8 weeks. I'm guessing that she hadn't been on screen, and you get characters disappearing off screen for that long all the time, even men, and I'm pretty sure they don't have babies.
No, you can't even say that anymore.
Oh.
Right, so she's having an assessment to see if she can come home. She gets told the assessment...
Correctly identifies the African animals on the paper.
Giraffe. And she was like waiting to see where the woman looks, and she goes, point, that's the giraffe. Looking good, she's doing well, she wants to go home. But no, not the home you think. She wants to go to the estate, the Scully estate with Clayton. And her assessor, or whoever, her little...
I didn't really know who she was. I think I just wrote like hospital woman,
minion,
helper, or not particularly helper. I mean, she wasn't really helpful because I wouldn't say that Shona was as prepared for that meeting with Clayton as she probably should have been.
Anyway, so her minion says, you can't really though, because don't forget he's in prison. And Shona's like, look, this is just a mere hurdle for me. I don't really care. I want to see him. David finds out on the phone that they are taking her to prison to see this evil troll who tried to kill her.
His words, not mine.
Sarah has to come around to number 8 because David has got upset and locked himself in his room. Later on in the week, he says that teenagers are stupid, but I don't think he's ever grown up at that stage, particularly. I think Gail's worried that he is hurting himself, but he's not. He's getting ready to go out for another run. And he says, I'm going to run and run and run until I can't run anymore and the wolves eat me. Now, sadly for David, I don't think there's been wild wolves in the UK for thousands of years. So
that's all right.
It's going to have to be the chavs.
If my knowledge of Manchester is right, it's the Canada geese you need to be watching out
for,
because they are all over the place around the Corrie studios.
And anywhere,
they can break your arm.
They can. Anywhere in the UK, you have to watch out for swans who will break a man's arm on behalf of the Queen. We all know she's vengeful. But
honestly, Canada geese around Manchester City, not Manchester City, Media City, where have they come from?
I've never seen so many like we said before, they must just be fans of the show. Because a lot of Canadians probably wish they could fly over to Manchester and just hang around.
If you could get up close to the Canada geese, you'd probably find little cameras like Jeff cams strapped to their legs and their pets that have been flown across the Atlantic by those crazy Canuck fans that are just desperate for a glimpse in at what's going on in the set.
And if they're,
what are we talking about?
Not doing that, then there's an idea for you in quarantine. So we have a prison visit. It doesn't, like you said, doesn't go smoothly. The minion says, you know, that he might not be exactly as you remember. And as soon as Clayton comes out, she literally does not know who he is and tells him, you're not my boy. I think she was expecting to see
him
a much younger kid. Yeah. She's like, I've had a baby and you're the same actor. It doesn't make sense. David is menacing some teens in the park.
He thinks he's such a big man.
He's in the playground and he pushes somebody off his bike and then he runs away. He picks it up and chucks it and runs away. And this lot...
I think somebody must have told him, pick on someone your own size, so he
does. To the playground. There was not a brain cell between a lot of these people because he accosts people on bikes, throws a bike on the floor, then he runs away, really should have taken the bike and cycled off, and they all follow him on foot.
I think somebody grabs the bike eventually, don't they?
Well, that was probably the smartest one out of everybody. They probably call him Brainy Specs. Boff. So, on the next...
Well, those kind of criminals do exist in Weatherfield. We just saw one trying to rob Annie Walker last night, didn't we?
Brainy
on the
Boff
DVD.
Spec.
Yeah, those are like the poshest, most well-educated thugs I've ever seen on a journey through 1975 last night.
So you're saying there hasn't been an intelligent criminal on Coronation Street since 1975?
Yeah, basically, 45 years.
So, good maths. So on Wednesday, David runs into a warehouse that seems to be holding car parts and hides. He scurries up the side of a
for rack, doesn't he?
Yeah, and hides inside. And they're all looking for him. It was kind of exciting. It was a bit like the end of Indiana Jones.
It was a bit exciting, but I don't know, I didn't really feel much sense of danger there for him.
Well, look, we'll find out how dangerous the situation really was in a minute, won't we?
Okay.
But Shona sort of rallies a bit in the prison and sort of makes herself.
I'm here now. I might as well try to start.
Okay, this is Clayton. Then she talks to him about being in prison, and she blames herself like she's talking about somebody else. Like, I must have been such a useless mum for you to have ended up here, but I will make it up to you, and I will get you whatever you need for your shady prison trades. Little does she know she already offered to be a drugs mule for him.
Yeah, it's not her fault he turned out the way he is. It's that evil Dane, isn't it? Dane Hibbs. He's dead now.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting that she was basically like going, I used to be such a useless idiot. Anyway, David sneaks back down the rack, but he immediately gets discovered.
He thinks the coast is clear, but it's clearly not. I mean, he probably should have just stayed up there for a little bit longer.
But I think he likes being, it's like, chase me. Then the most useless wrestling match I've ever seen in my life takes place, where they all just kind of, I don't know, poke each other. They kind of
bundle on him, but not really.
They're like tickling each other.
It's like, did Jack P. Shepherd say beforehand, look...
Not my face.
Yeah, exactly. Not the face. It really, they were just kind of, poking... I saw people online comparing it to a tickling fight. There were 4 of them against one, and I don't even think they left a mark on him, did they? Didn't get any T-shirt torn or...
Well,
it was useless. It was utterly useless. And then the police turn up because the warehouse guy has rung them up.
Stop playing with each other. Go back to the playground. Clayton has decided to take this opportunity to poison Shona's mind against David, and talking about, he used to drink a lot, he had affairs, he hit you. Shona gets really upset and confused. She wants to leave, and she's like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And then Clayton, as she's being led away, goes, you're right, you were a useless mum. He is such a horrible guy. I hate Clayton so much. He's such a little turd, isn't he?
He is.
David is at the police station. He leaves. Craig follows him. Craig, for some reason, is always around when David's up to no good.
He is, isn't he?
But he's never there to stop him or protect him or do anything policey.
No, he's just there to tell him, stop goading
teenagers. You know what?
Teenagers.
You shouldn't really be doing this. David says, I was a bit scared actually. Perhaps I should stop goading teenagers. Sarah nags at David in the pub, and he says, I'm giving up on Shona. She's given up on me. What's the point? Back at the centre, Shona does not know what to believe about David, but then Sarah shows up, and she is there to sort of fill in some of the blanks, which is the last 5 years of Shona's life.
I love how throughout this storyline the characters are just popped across to leads.
Yeah, it's no bother.
No.
Now, it's interesting to think that Shona has lost those years of her life, because when she first appeared in the show, as you might remember, she was a bit of a scallywag because she stole David's wallet, and she was very chavvy when she first came in. So is she reverting back to being a horrible chav?
I guess so.
Because she was quite rough around the edges, and she sort of very quickly became a bit more chilled out, didn't she?
She went
like
through
the like now.
She went through the usual Coronation Street, rags to riches.
Well, it's like you get ironed out, isn't it? You turn up
diamond
with a bunch of complicated ruffles that add to the plot, and then when that plot has been done, you don't need them anymore, and they're a pain in the arse, so you just iron them out.
Thing is, she was never she was never a Becky Granger, was she, or a Kylie or anything?
No, but she was definitely in the mould of that. I'm going to stand by that and say that she was, because she stole his wallet.
She was, but that's all she did. I think it didn't take her long.
It didn't take her long, but they really, really made her out to be a bit of a ne'er-do-well when she came in the show.
They did, but she was also, running away from evil Nathan, wasn't she?
Whatever.
Sheltering in the church. I'm just
pointing out, perhaps her personality has changed.
Yes, maybe.
Because I think Julia Goulding was talking about that, and she was talking to Colson Smith today in the thing, and saying,
yes,
she couldn't revert to how Shona used to be, because Shona, your experiences shape your personality.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's only one prescription for this.
What?
2 years of or 3, I don't know, years of Conversation Street podcasts.
You can catch up if you listen, and tell you what, if you listen to it double time, it only takes you 1 year.
Yes, exactly. How long has Shona? Has it been 2 or 3 years? I don't remember how long she's been in
Well,
it. She came in one Christmas, didn't she?
387
She's been in something and a half years. Yeah, she just needs to listen to the podcast and then it'll catch her up. Or go to Corriepedia, I suppose.
Yeah, you could do many things, couldn't you? Shona and Sarah are having a conversation, and Shona's asking Sarah about her life with David. Was she happy? Did he cheat on her? Did he ever hit her, etc.? And I thought this was good, but I did feel a bit uncomfortable about Sarah clearly speaking from a position of authority about someone else's marriage when we've just had it established with Jeff and Yasmin that you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, and even a couple that looks happily married can have very deep problems in that marriage. And I don't think that Corrie put the two together when they wrote this or thought about it, but it doesn't really mesh up together, does it?
No.
And the thing is, the point of this story isn't the same point of the Jeff and Yasmin story. So I'm just nitpicking, but I did think it was a bit weird that we're supposed to believe that Sarah knows what's going on in her.
I suppose the difference...
It's obviously not going to be helpful for Sarah to go, who knows if you were happy or not? You could have been being beaten for all I know, or you could have been abusing him, in fact.
And we only saw each other 3 days a week, as it is anyway. The thing is with Sarah, I suppose the difference is she seems to have spent a lot of the time since David and Shona have been together sleeping on a blow-up mattress on the floor in number 8.
That's true. They're very tight-knit, aren't they?
Yeah. So...
but I mean, she's
no
right.
Closed doors.
We know that she's right about what she said. The relationship was a happy one, except they had this hurdle about when David was raped. She brings up apart from the rape, and Shona immediately goes, "Oh my gosh, was I raped?" And then she's like,
"Sarah, slow down a bit.
It's 2020, okay? Anyone can get raped. It's not just women anymore. You need to broaden your mind, Shona, you bigot."
Yeah.
So yeah, I did think this was a bit unhelpful, and a bit gossipy.
That's the sort of thing that you ease in gently.
Yeah, like the minions probably sitting there going, "Oh yeah, there was something in the notes about I probably should have."
Sarah's just a rip that plaster off kind of girl, I think.
She is a bitch. She's like, look, there's a lot more than this. To be
fair, exactly. We've got a whole 20 years of David Platt drama to cover.
This is one of those. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best conversations.
Yeah.
So look, she says,
I'm not even going to mention that time that he pushed his mum down the stairs,
or nearly got drowned by a serial killer.
Went on a rampage through the street with a crowbar,
or beat his brother up, or stole money from his granddad,
or crashed his car in the street and was burned down a window.
Why don't you just give me a month and I'll tell you what happened? So basically Sarah's message to Shona is, David needs you. You helped him get through the darkest period he's ever had in his life, apparently. And you guys were really strong. You need to take David back. You need to save him from himself. I thought this was really poor for this minion sitting there with a mentally delicate woman who has had a brain injury, going, yeah, you should be the one that is leaned upon by this other vulnerable person who perhaps has unaddressed mental issues that need their own minion to be. You know what I mean? Like, why would you say to Shona, yeah, it seems like a perfectly good idea for you to go off to be a mental crutch for somebody who the way Sarah was talking about it, he sounded like he was suicidal, and at one point this week Gail did think that that's what he was up to, and he locked himself in his room.
He had been, hadn't he? He said that it was before he was going to before.
Well,
Aidan.
when Aidan, he said that was something that he had considered. So very inappropriate situation for you to rehabilitate yourself, I think. But look, this minion's useless, so it doesn't really matter, does it? And you shouldn't get paid by results, obviously. On Friday, David,
how quickly can you get through them?
She's like, come on guys, I'm only in this for a few more episodes.
There's someone else that's got a soap opera amnesia just banging on my door that needs that bed, Shona.
On Friday, David hears on the phone that Shona is going to come to visit the house, but he is not allowed to be there. So he stays for the afternoon in the cafe, morosely ordering coffee after coffee from a slightly bewildered Roy. The car pulls up, and Shona gets out, and she's like, oh God, what's this dump?
Yeah, because I missed that. I was writing notes, and you said that she gave a bit of a look.
Like,
and then they showed it on Corrie Good News. I don't know what she was looking at, but I want to think that it was the stone cladding on the Fizz and Tyrone's house, because that's the sort of thing that would give anybody that look that Shona had.
She was looking at the house. It doesn't really help that when she pulls up in the car, Jeff, Tim and Alia and Ryan are having a slanging match about him being locked out of the house. So,
to be honest though, if she's flashed back to when she used to live on old Scally Estate, she should have been like, just like home.
You've got a front garden. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was funny, but it's not entirely logical. So anyway, she goes into number 8, and she's got Whatever Happened to Nick, because Harry comes over, gives her the drawing of a train, and she's like, "This is the worst drawing of a train I've ever seen."
I love that.
So try again, and then everyone's like, "That was a bit mean." That's what I say.
I teach children, maybe not as young as Harry. Sometimes you just got to tell children that their artwork isn't great. Otherwise, how will they learn?
Yeah, but I remember drawing stuff even not that long ago and going, "This is the best thing I've ever done." Then, like a few months later, you're like, "What?"
It's constructive criticism. That's what it is. I can't just give an A grade to everything that gets squirted out at the end of a pencil, you know?
I mean, in fairness, Harry's future doesn't seem to be in drawing trains.
No.
It's not exactly something Roy would be putting up in the cafe, is it?
No, but you know, that could be sowing the seeds for a nice Harry-Roy bonding sesh.
Look, I heard that if anyone likes trains, it's Grace.
Oh, yeah. She's into...
Not Grace.
No, Grace, Tiana.
Tiana.
Yeah.
She bloody loves trams. So can you imagine how
But if you want an expert on red cars, Ollie's your man. He loves red
Ollie's
car.
not long for the world. I think it would be... Imagine how cute it would be. I wish I could draw. Imagine how cool it would be to be able to draw and just draw a picture of Tiana, Roy and Harry sitting at the tram stop waiting for a tram to come.
There you go, Joe or Paul has a commission that one. If I could draw...
Commission implies I'm going to pay. I'm not going to pay. I'll do it myself.
Podcast. If I could draw, that'd be it. I'd be drawing Corrie fan art left, right and centre.
It's probably better for
this
everybody.
This podcast takes up enough of my time.
But look, we're not talking about this anymore.
Sorry.
So Shona's just as good. Harry's just as good at drawing as I am, and everybody's sort of like, Shona, you know, you're being a bit of a bitch here, and Shona's like, oh no, this is terrible. This isn't working. She gets up to make a cup of tea and magically knows where the tea bags are, which makes her think, maybe I am remembering. Meanwhile, David can't stand waiting anymore. He sort of gets all het up. Roy's trying to tell him something. He's like, what do you want, Roy? Are you going to give me some wisdom about trains or something? And Roy's like, your coat's there. You're leaving your coat. And David sits back in defeat, realising that he's not going to get... He's
high on caffeine.
He's just working himself up. It's not the right thing to go bursting in and interrupting. He needs to let things take their course. Sadly, Shona doesn't agree. If he had
left this cafe at that time, he might have got there in time to have apprehended her.
Shona doesn't agree. She runs out the back. Well, she goes, oh, can I have some air? Goes into the garden and then goes out of the gate. And the minion doesn't really... It was Gail that said it. No, the minion's like, oh, do you have a gate out the back garden? And Gail's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, no, not again. This is the third time this week I've been supervising a visit and they run off.
I'm just wondering, was that minion like in charge of Carla at any point, who also did a runner out the back?
Probably. Probably. She's like, this is Weatherfield. I'm just not kind of come here anymore. It's a bad place for me. So... everybody starts looking for her, basically. Sarah runs into the cafe and tells David, and that's the last scene of Friday.
Yeah, that was a bit of an awkward cliffhanger at the end. It was a good cliffhanger for the end of the week.
I know,
but it seemed the theme music suddenly seemed to come out of nowhere.
I know people don't all agree, but I'm really still loving these cliffhangers, as silly and as easily resolved as they are. I still enjoy ending an episode on a cliffhanger.
Sometimes they're better than others. I mean, like this, for example, I'm not like gagging to know where Shona is, because it's
she's
like...
just down the road, isn't she?
She'll be fine.
She's in the Ginnell.
Yeah.
I'm not like disheartened when the resolution turns out to be exactly what you would have guessed, but I just kind of like the momentum that it gives the stories. I don't know that Leeds is the best place to for rehab. I think perhaps it was just the nearest place that had an empty bed, because they seem to be useless there. Yeah,
she's better off just coming home and learning the ropes firsthand. As for where Shona
also,
is...
I don't know whether this really happens.
What?
Like, you get shot and you forget things.
This is partly my problem with this. I don't know anyone who's been shot.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who's been shot. In fact, I'm starting to think, Michael, that no one ever gets shot and it's all just fictional.
I've seen a lot of people get shot on TV, and some of them have been in Coronation Street too, and I don't remember that causing amnesia in any of them.
I don't know, does it? I don't
really know. And maybe this does happen to people. It seems to me a little bit too soapy, a little bit...
Oh, I don't mind it.
Amnesia is verging on the American soap territory.
It's like the best plot device because it's stupid and you can just use it for anything, can't you? But
you get these people that have been in comas for 10 years or so or whatever. But
she was in a coma for a bit. She was in a coma for a bit.
It just doesn't sit right with me.
I don't know.
But maybe that's because...
at the time? I don't remember whether we did.
I don't know. She did just get shot in a box, didn't she?
I mean, when you get shot in a box, there are so many things that you can emerge, so many problems that can materialise as a result of it.
Yeah, I mean, the mind is a mysterious thing.
It is.
Who are we to say that this wouldn't happen?
A brain scientist.
It just is coming across to me as somewhat of a contrived plot device to create drama and friction between David and Shona. And to be fair, on Coronation Street, this isn't the sort of thing that they do all the time.
They do very much. I'm
willing to
I just think
forgive it.
It is just a bit silly. Like, I've conveniently forgotten everything that happened since I was on the show.
Yeah. You just know that, given a few months or weeks or however long, she's going to remember everything.
I think it would be quite cool if she never did. And she just sort of went, well...
It could be interesting to see, could she learn to love David again?
Yeah, is that true love? Mm.
If their spirits are bonded and if they are wandering souls that have finally met, then who are we to stop the will of the universe? And maybe they will find happiness in each other's arms again. This would be a tick in the
column of all the people that think that Shona and David are a really suited couple. Not me.
Me. I'd like to think so, and I think they probably will. I don't foresee at all David and Shona, not coming out of this.
But it'd be kind of interesting if Shona just came back to the street, and then she had to rekindle her relationship with David. Like she said, "Look, I haven't got anywhere to go. I'm going to move to the street because you guys seem like you want to help me, and I need help.
It's all going down here.
I'm going to live in whoever's spare bedroom will have me because everyone's got a spare bedroom." And then she kind of tries to avoid David, but she sort of finds herself drawn towards him, and then they kind of fall in love again. I think that would be really sweet. And then when they kiss for the first time, her memory returns.
Oh yes, it's just a kiss, isn't it, from Prince Charming?
If you're going to be cliche, let's just do it properly.
I recognise those prickly lips anywhere. What are you
talking about?
I think that it'd be nice if she got some scenes with Billy soon, because they had quite a nice friendship, didn't they? He was the one that rescued her before from the clutches of Nathan, and I know, it'd be nice if he could help her.
It'd be quite cool if they sort of. The one thing that I find a bit funny and meta is when Coronation Street characters have to have things explained to them, and you realise how preposterous everything sounds. And this storyline is just ripe for that happening over and over again. Like Billy popping up going, "Oh, hi Shona, we're best friends. I fell off a cliff and survived, and then I turned to smack, and my boyfriend ran away and he's living in the woods."
Yeah. I know. Maybe it turns out that Shona is just a sucker for gossip, and when she hears all the sorts of things that go on that little street, she's like, "I'm staying here."
This sounds brilliant.
Yeah. I think that, when you say that she might have run away and she'll just be found in the Gindle, I'm wondering possibly whether she could find her way back to the estate, possibly.
I don't know.
Like Carla did.
Because there's some, she might... Are any of the old gang about?
Who was the old... Did Shona have an old gang?
It was Macca?
Oh, yeah. Macca.
What happened to Macca?
He was...
It doesn't really matter. If they want him to be in it, they'll find a way of getting him in it, won't they?
Yeah. So the thing is, she can't be with Clayton. I was wondering. I saw it happening different from this. I thought that when David did his runner on Monday, that Shona would be driven to her old estate because that's where she wanted to go. She wanted to go home, but no, not Coronation Street. And I thought that David would end up, running past her estate and then stopping and going, I know you, you're my wife. And then the teenagers catch up to him, and then Shona has to watch David getting beaten up. Or I thought
or he runs past and she goes, who's that magnificent specimen? Is he on the way to the Olympics?
I thought it might be there, but it seems like David's his running time has come to an end. So I don't know.
Do you remember?
But I'm sure she'll be fine.
Do you remember Austin Powers?
Yes.
When there's the montage of him watching the catch-up DVDs about all the things that happened between when he got frozen, when he got defrosted. Of course, I can just imagine Shona on the sofa with Coronation, like ITV catch-up, watching old episodes of Coronation Street.
With the ITV hub.
Shaking her head in disbelief and
slapping
her forehead.
She can't watch the DVDs because they haven't been a Coronation Street DVD released for quite a long time, although I do wonder whether there's going to be a best of the 2010s released anytime soon to go along with the rest of them.
It's about time, isn't it?
It's about time. Clayton, anything more to say about him? Do you think that's all we get to see of him?
I hate Clayton. Isn't he a dick?
I kind of hate him. I think
he's a psychopath.
I more hate the idea that he keeps popping up in the show. We've said for years now that he's a millstone round Shona's neck.
Yeah. But I will give them this. They have used their character and given them a lot more plots that they've gotten out of them than I ever thought that they would do. And they've been really imaginative with it because it felt like a very dead-end story that only had one wet place to go. And I thought it was, even though I think it's inevitable, Clayton, something will happen, he'll die or something, and he will never again appear in the show. I think that they're still being really, really imaginative, and they haven't run out of things to do and reasons to bring him back. So I think, and it's great, the actor's still available and happy to come and do it. So I think that even though I dislike the character, I still I'm engaged and enjoying watching it.
I was just watching it. Why are you taking her to see her son who took her hostage, nearly stabbed her?
I know, I don't think that they're really doing very much to protect her.
And they're saying, anything to help bring those memories back, but
really, you could just show her a picture or something.
It was not the right thing to do.
I really think that
negligent.
Don't know much about this, but I really would hope that this is not how you do it. You don't take a vulnerable woman with mental problems to see her murderous son or her suicidal husband.
No. Who would you take Shona to go and see?
Well, David the dog, and they seem to be getting on.
They did. Oh, that was nice. David on her lap. No, I thought with Clayton,
to tell you what.
What?
David on her lap was really sweet, but it would have been cuter if he had actually seemed to enjoy or sort of greet Shona in a sweet way.
Yeah, I know. He was just sitting there.
That dog looked like such a diva. He was like, look, she hasn't been in the show for ages, and all I'm saying is, I should be paid more. Do you know what I mean? He's like, stroke me.
I thought it was strange that Clayton suddenly turned and started going into shouty mode. I thought that he might be trying to string Shona along for a bit longer, because I quite liked it when he was going, David. Yeah, when he tried to manipulate her, but he showed his true colours very quickly. Yeah. And he's like, you are a rubbish mum.
He's very stupid.
I mean, I suppose, I don't know what he wants to get out of his mum. I
think he's just bored in prison.
Yeah, I guess so.
He does have no respect for Shona or David. I think he just likes messing with people.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like he wants to rekindle any kind of relationship.
I can respect that.
Anything? I saw a bit of criticism online about the overuse of David goads people and runs away scenes. Your thoughts?
How many times have we seen him do it?
Right, we've seen him almost get stabbed the first time, and I do think that was the best one. I think that was where he appeared to be in the most danger, and there was a nice cliffhanger there.
I think that was a bit too close for comfort for him, so he's picking on people slightly.
Then he just bumped into someone outside the tram station, and we had no idea what happened with that one. Then we had the one where he was jumping on the car bonnet a week or two ago, and then we had the bike pusher. So
and also there was
the
ripped T-shirt, which would
we found
indicate another.
So he has done it more often.
I think that if I was in charge of Manchester Tourist Board, I would have a word with Coronation Street, because I would try to argue on behalf of my city that you don't really want to make it seem as though you can just go running around and immediately attract a bunch of people that want to murder you.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how true that is. We love Manchester. No one's ever tried to murder me when I went, but I've only been a few times.
He should have gone to Oak Hill if he wanted a nice, safe place to do some running.
Well, if he wants somewhere rough, it's always the Dog and Gun.
Yes. He should have gone to the Dog and Gun.
It would have been cool if it had been in the background.
A cameo with the Dog and Gun. That would have been a brilliant cameo. Why not? It's not that far away, is it, Wythenshawe, from where they filmed? But never mind. No, I wasn't getting too fed up with the David chase scenes, but I can understand that people were, because there wasn't a whole difference between any of these. And I was complaining last week or the week before, I can't remember, on the podcast, that the jumping on the bonnet scene seemed to be unnecessary, and I was hoping for there to be a fight, and there wasn't. And
it seems very this whole thing seems very fantastical for Coronation Street. When they're trying to ground things in realism, you've got this really affecting storyline. You had the racism stuff, you've got the mitochondrial disease stuff, and then you've got this kind of parallel universe where people genuinely go around and try to get beaten up for the thrill. I don't know that this happens.
I think it maybe
and people
does.
Forget stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
In a box.
That's the biggest stretch of imagination for me.
Do you really think that somebody would go out at least 5 times?
Yeah.
There are other ways. Look, I'll tell you what, Michael.
David is a very complex and damaged character, and I think it was very much in character for him. I can understand that people didn't enjoy it and think it was a bit getting a bit samey maybe, but and it's not a prime David story, but I totally saw it. I thought it was very, very much in character that he would do that.
I know, but but David is a larger than life character.
Yeah.
And this is a larger than life. I just think this sounds fantastical. I think if really, honestly, and I don't want to encourage anybody to do this, but if you're David and you live where and I think you just do drugs, is what I'm trying to say. Like most people, you do drugs or you just become an alcoholic. But the trouble with Coronation Street is that we've already seen all these storylines recently, so they couldn't have that.
Special
so
David.
What do people do for fun? And there must have been somebody in the writers' room who went, I know what I like to do at the weekend. I go and bother teenagers and they chase me around. And everyone went, huh. That's weird.
I honestly, I didn't mind the idea of it. I just thought the execution was a bit poor, because apart from maybe that first time, I didn't really feel any sense of danger.
Who thought it would be so difficult to get beaten up in Manchester?
With this one, I liked how they went to a warehouse, like a good location
that was
shoot.
Good location. Yeah, I like that.
But even then, I didn't feel like the guys chasing them were particularly threatening.
No, it felt a bit like they were just gonna kind of eke him out, and
it can't be that difficult to have a tense chase sequence.
It just didn't
sneaky,
real.
dark. What's round the next corner? He just kind of climbs up there for the rack, does a bit of a sneak. I was almost
peek sneak.
I almost expected the old violin sort of.
Yeah,
as he
that's what I mean when I say it's fantastical.
And there should have been some extreme close-ups of his eyes, a bit of sweating or something, a bit of heart beating. But no, he just goes up there, and then he climbs back down, and then they catch him.
And then they sort of flail at him. For a few minutes.
It was sadly poorly done.
It reminded me of. Do you remember do you ever do this when you were a kid? And you were like, sometimes you'd end up with your coats too big, and then you get your sleeves and you tuck them into the end of your fists. And you just kind of like swing your arms around. That's what it looked like they were doing, like swinging their arms around at each other. Yeah,
and sorry to bring this back to that 1975 episode of Coronation Street again, but tell you what, Ray Langton and Len Fairclough showed us how to beat people up in last night's episode,
If you want to give scallywags a good hiding, just ask Len and Ray.
They know, yeah.
Yeah.
Round the back of the Rovers. Before we move on, I just wanted to give a quick call out to the line of... Craig asked David, "Oh, you that IC1 male that they caught?" And David's like, "If IC1 means incredibly charming." Thought that was funny, silly.
Yeah.
I wish Craig just seems to be a bit of an annoying, bothersome fly in this story. It's almost like
quite like the fact that they've remembered he is a policeman, even though we're not really sure what his role is.
Right, serious.
Come on, we've got to pick the pace up serious. Here a bit. We did a half-hour intro to this. We've got to...
Oh, yeah. Serious case of the Ollie Wobbles. Well, it feels like not a whole lot happened in this story this week. It's very, very slow, but some fantastic performances by Jane Danson
Jane Danson, amazing.
Yes, remember her? She can act, everybody.
She was so good this week.
Jolly, jolly good.
So good. And I think this feels like an award story, but I think it's come too early in the year.
Yes.
For
there will be time.
We'll
see.
We'll see how long Ollie's got left.
On Monday, they haven't had any news on Ollie, but he's not had any further seizures, so everything's looking okay. They're going to be reducing his sedation later, which means that he'll be able to wake up.
Leanne's in denial this whole week.
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, maybe she's more worrying at the moment. She gets in denial, doesn't she? We have a scene with Toya and Simon.
I think there's a stage at which during this week her mind breaks and she cannot take any more bad news. So everything that she hears from then on gets filtered into something completely wrong, but she won't hear anything different.
Yeah. Toya goes and sees Simon. He's kind of juggling, worrying about Ollie with his exam revision, and they agreed to go to the cafe together. I didn't feel like we got a whole lot out of the back on the streets scenes in this story. It was the action was what was going on in the hospital, really, wasn't it? So the big drama on Monday is, where's Oliver's toy car? Oliver's toy car, that red car, his favourite car. He's never seen without this car. Or has this car ever been mentioned before? I don't know. But anyway, Steve wants to know where this car is, and Nick, who's already feeling a bit like a spare part of the hospital, agrees to go back home and retrieve it.
I love this scene with Liz and Toya.
Oh, go on.
Well, no, Liz is going, it's Ollie's birthday, I'm getting him a cake.
Yeah.
And Toya's like, Liz, he's in a coma, he's not eating cake.
Yeah.
And Liz is kind of like annoyed, but really she needed this dose of reality, didn't she?
Liz is just wants to be able to help, and they don't need her at the moment. And Toya's kind of bluntness to Liz's suggestion.
She wasn't cold, but she was just very matter of fact and gentle in saying, like, he's an induced coma, he's got a stomach pump, he's not going to be eating cake.
And also, an Eccles cake, Liz. What kid wants to wake up for an Eccles cake?
Well, I think it's clear...
Chocolate cake, come on.
...to me that Toya wanted that cake.
Yeah.
Liz, you can't have it. You better let me take it.
Do you like a nice Eccles cake?
I do, actually. When we went to Eccles, I had an Eccles cake and it was really nice. I think I had it with cheese.
Oh, Eccles, R.I.P.
You don't like raisins, though, because you're only human.
Yes. Anyway, Nick's looking for the car. Simon finds it in Ollie's football bag, apparently. I think that's where it was. I don't know.
Football and cars, see?
Yeah.
Lads love them.
Liz is talking to Gail later and saying, I feel useless.
I bought a cake.
I'm surprised Gail didn't say, I've been feeling like that for the past 10 years.
You're useless. Guess what?
Anyway, they have a good old chat about how pants life is.
Gail gets the cake.
Oh, yeah, Gail did get the cake out of it in the end, didn't she? So, Nick brings the car to the hospital, but Ollie's still not waking up. And then he wakes up. Bang on cue.
That always happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's weird, though, because he seems pretty zoned out. And throughout the beginning of this, I was thinking, is the kid just, not responding to the director here? Yeah, because he's just lying there looking dozy. And the thing is, you get that with
showing him Peppa Pig on an iPad, sort of held up somewhere to one side.
Totally. But I mean, you do get that with really young kid actors on Coronation Street sometimes, don't you? They're always looking where they shouldn't be. Exactly. Like, I mean, Harry, when he gave Shona that train drawing earlier, it was like looking all over the place. So he does his little thing with job, which is taking it to Shona and then running away again. Aww. So at the first I thought, okay, what's going on here? But we're supposed to see that because Ollie is, I think zoned out is the medical term for it. He's not really responding, and he doesn't even turn and look at the car. He probably does want that Eccles cake, to be fair. If they'd have been wafting that, he'd have turned right round, but he doesn't care. Leanne's getting
Kids are like this, though, aren't they? It's the same as with a cat. You buy them a present and you give it to them. They're like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't even know how you can hold your head up."
I know. Leanne does get a nice hand squeeze out of it.
I know. This is the thing. This is the cruel thing about this story, is that it feels like every episode Leanne gets a small crumb of hope, and it is false hope, really, because we know that is going to be a tragic story.
It's like one of these, people that are trapped inside their own head sort of storylines, isn't it?
Except that's scary.
Except it's a 3-year-old, so it's even more tragic. And Wednesday it carries on. Dr. Ward comes in and says, yeah, so it looks like his visual processing has been affected by these seizures. And what were they saying? That he can't focus on things that he sees or something?
I thought it was something like, well, the thing is, if you can damage parts of your brain where you can see something.
Occipital lobe.
Occipital. You can see things, but you don't know that what you're looking at is the thing that you can see an object, and your brain, because the way your brain processes different things and concepts in different parts of your brain. So you can know that something is a can, but you wouldn't know. You could pick it up, but you wouldn't know what it was. You see what I mean? So he's not processing things. So he can. I think the doctor said he can hear you, so he knows that you're there, but he won't be able to recognise your face.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, though. This is why I'm fascinated by psychology, because we did a lot of this when I was at college, and like brain injuries and the way that your brain and your thoughts and your feelings and everything that makes you is actually connected to this biological organ which can be damaged and change who you are fundamentally and how you process and observe the world is terrifying and fascinating to me. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, let's not pull any punches here. Ollie didn't have a whole lot going for him before before this all started.
You can't say that. Look, Colson did a nice shout out for us, and who knows, we could have new listeners who've already turned off.
Oh.
So it doesn't really matter at this point, does it?
All I'm saying, actually I wasn't saying this, but I'm going to backpedal a little bit and say it now. They had been worried beforehand that he wasn't exactly...
What are you going to say?
He wasn't firing all cylinders. He hadn't met all his early learning goals.
Yeah, so...
He wasn't able to do the same things that other children can do at his age. So the Dr. Ward says that he's not going to be able to get back to where he was before. And where he was before wasn't exactly...
Oh my God.
No, what?
I don't know what you think you're saying.
What do you... I'm just saying it's tragic. He was already behind, and now he's not even going to catch up to where he was, which was behind.
I don't think that they were really understanding what the doctor was trying to say, because to me it sounded incredibly bleak.
Did you kind of take it to mean he will never get back to even where he was before?
Yeah.
Or he's going to be just behind?
Always behind. When she said that, the way I interpreted it was that this is it now.
Yeah, he's going to be stuck.
But I'm always very pessimistic. If somebody says anything to me, I immediately think of the worst case scenario, and that's exactly what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, unlike Leanne, who just looks for, as you say, any glimmer of hope in this awful situation. And even though Dr. Ward is clearly painting a pretty tragic picture here, Leanne kind of, what she hears is that it might take a while for him to get back to normal, and she's like, that's all I need to know. Bye. And leaves, because she just can't bet. I think she knows deep down that if she's going to hear something that she doesn't want to hear, so she strides out the office, and Steve's like, look, is there any chance that is there a chance he's not going to get back to normal? And Ward's like, yeah, there's a high probability, actually.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Isn't that
horrible? So Steve goes back to Ollie's room, and Leanne's there, total denial about it.
Well, this is the worst part, because she's like, no, it's fine. And Steve is trying to tell her what the truth is. And just as this horrible scene is unfolding, Oliver wakes up and says, Mummy. And so her heart breaks, and she thinks that, well, no, she's sort
wrong.
Of like,
he's fine. Look at him. He knows who I am.
He's fine.
Now.
He's back to normal. He knows who I am. And Steve can't say anything now because she won't believe it. I don't think at this point she will not believe anything.
Well,
she's protecting herself.
The whole gang of them seem to end the episode on Wednesday feeling a lot more positive about the situation, which is kind of tragic as well, because you know that.
Well, I mean,
it's only a short
we have
period
decided on the show that we think Ollie's going to die, haven't we? I think that's what we thought. How this story's going to end. So they haven't revealed anything about this story.
No, and I keep forgetting they haven't actually given him a diagnosis of anything
they haven't
yet,
even
because they say that on Friday, don't they?
We know that there are very many ways that mitochondrial disease can manifest itself, and it sort of ranges in seriousness. But in general, the younger you get or observe to have the symptoms, the worse it is, because it sort of compounds and it's chronic and it gets worse.
So there's no treatment for it,
There's no cure. Yeah. There's no treatment.
Yeah. So on today's episode, Nick's there trying to kablamming cars together at the beginning, and Ollie's not responding again. But Leanne's like, never mind that. Let's just see if we can take him home. Look, he seems fine. He doesn't need to be at the hospital here.
He normally hates cars.
And I was quite surprised when Dr. Ward was like, yeah, take him home. He's going to be fine. He's responded well to the anti-seizure medicine. There's nothing more we can do here.
Well, really, that's sad, because there isn't anything they can do.
No, I know. There's literally if he's coping, and they've still got weeks to wait until the actual diagnosis can come through. Because, as I was saying, this is what I keep forgetting. They haven't said, this is what it is, have they?
They said it's mitochondrial disease, but it's like saying, oh, you've got cancer.
Yeah, what sort is it? How bad is it?
It seems like you're ill, basically. It's that broad.
A few weeks seems like a long time to get a diagnosis for that, though.
Well, it seems... I just think it seems as though it's one of these things that has only just recently people beginning to understand it, and who knows, in the future it might branch out and become lots of different diseases. The way we understand cancer is actually rudimentary as well, and it's just, the word makes it seem as though it behaves in a similar way in every example, but actually no. I mean, some cancers are caused by very different things.
I just wonder what is happening, and if this is a little kid, can't they fast track him? And I know there's probably lots of children going through horrible things.
You don't know what the process is.
It just reminds me of, like, when you go for a blood test at the hospital and you have to wait a week or two for them to find out, when really they could probably put a bit of litmus paper in it, and it's like, there you go.
That's like saying how come the pharmacy takes so long.
I was going to say that. It's like you hand your prescription in, you got to sit and wait for 10 minutes.
Doing nothing, going,
just got to get this answer in a crossword. There you go. Here's your Calpol.
I'll just put it in a bag.
Yeah. Anyway, so a couple of weeks, which for us is going to translate to, a month or so. And we might not find out exactly what Ollie's got until the end of June, which is going to be coming up to very close to how far they've filmed. Anyway, that's basically it, isn't it? Leanne's like, yeah, fine, he's going to be better.
Oh, she scared me a little bit when the doctor was like, yeah, you can take him home, and she picks him up and he's still got the tube in his nose, and it kind of looked a bit like she was almost just going to wrench him away from the bed and just let all the tubes fall out of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She just seems to be in such denial about what's going on.
Reminds me of when they mummify Egyptians and they pull everything out through the nose. What was going to come out on the end of that tube?
That's probably what the test is. Just keep pulling it out.
Anyway, Leanne has quit her job at the lawyers.
Oh my God, I know. She's just gone...
So that she can look after Ollie at home.
And she was just... They get home, they've got all the medicines from the pharmacy, and she's there, and she's picking up boxes and putting them down, and she's saying to Imran and Adam... No, she's not. She's talking to Nick and
Imran and
Steve,
Adam, anyway.
And saying, well, this is what's going to be now. This is my full-time job. I'm going to focus on Ollie. You guys have got to give me money to survive, so that I can, And she genuinely seems to believe that as long as she has a job to do and she's got something to focus on and she's got medicine, that everything is going to turn out all right. And it's just so sad, because I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No.
But it really is a case of, like, she can't control anything in her life at the moment, except to say that she can dole out this medicine and look after Ollie and keep him safe and cook and clean and fall back on those kind of comforting rituals of, like, housework and hard work and service to people and loving people through those acts of service, which is a very feminine, female thing, very maternal thing to do, isn't it?
Acts of service. Who's going to make Imran and Adam their cups of tea? So I want to know. They can't do it themselves.
Do you know what? I think you're right. I was gonna say something else then, but no, I think you're probably right. They're going to be down Costa, aren't they?
No, they'll be like, Paula, do you remember that time when you came and worked in our office for a bit?
We don't. Would you like to... Do we know any women? Sexist.
Oh dear. Anyway, I think we mostly we did a lot of talking about this last week, and there's nothing. Although there's been lots happening, not much has happened, and it's mostly just been Leanne's reaction to the news and her total denial, which is, tragic, but probably very true to life and understandable. And it'll be interesting. I'm fascinated to find out, how it goes on, and I'm sure that she's gonna absolutely nail every performance.
It's heartbreaking to think of this, really. Oh dear.
Yeah. What
much
can
to
you
add,
say?
honestly.
No. And I think it feels like it's going to go quiet for a bit now. Just the fact that we've got, a couple of weeks and the seizures are slowing down. I think this might be on the back burner again for a bit. I don't know. It's
just so desperately sad to know that this happens to people. I can't bear it. It's horrible.
Yeah, horrible stuff. I just wanted to talk, just before we move on, point out the thing that was in the... So did we see it online somewhere where they'd filmed a hospital scene this week and they got a bit of the stage 2 sign in the background?
It was hardly noticeable.
I know.
And who's to
say... to point out these little mistakes.
Who's to say it wasn't... I mean, it's a shame...
I didn't notice it.
It's a shame they didn't call them theatres, because you could say it's just an operating theatre.
Yeah, very true. I can't watch those scenes outside the hospital now, because they had the same when Jeff came out today as well, didn't they? It's like... Nope, that is the Corrie front officers. I know that. I've stood there a couple of times. That is not Weatherfield General.
Other arrangements they make, because it must take them ages to do all that filming. And, what have they got delivery? What have they got people coming round and stuff? What does that lovely lady that works behind the desk do?
I don't know.
Do they have to sort of usher her out?
Well, they never show through the doors.
No, I know they don't. Well, she's not going to be standing there on reception when nobody can come through the door, is she?
I just wish sometimes that they'd get out from their little enclosure at Media City.
I think they're very clever to the way that they've set this up. That this is the hospital.
Oh, they are, and to the vast majority, the very vast majority of viewers aren't going to notice anything. They're not going to notice.
But the people who do know, I think it's fun to know, to sort of...
it's Weatherfield General. It sometimes is the school.
Prison.
Sometimes the prison. Freshco's car park.
Yeah, Freshco's car park.
Right.
Very compact place, isn't it, Weatherfield?
Bailey's, Gemma.
Right, so... on Monday, this was quite good. Ray comes around and he says, I was wrong to let Dom get away with what he was saying.
Yeah, we were wondering whose side he would go on.
Well, I think this is pretty standard for Ray, isn't it? He's not the kind of villain who causes trouble for himself when he doesn't need it. He's perfectly happy to antagonise people who've crossed him, but the Baileys haven't done anything to him. So he needs to maintain a certain reputation amongst the community, and the only way to save face and sort of carry on in the community is to have fired Dom. There's no way to get around it.
See, I can't remember. I mean, I would have thought that Ray's already got a pretty, he's on thin ground with most of the community after Abby. Did Abby out him at one of the bistro evenings when she brought in all these women that he gagged?
Forgotten.
Everyone seems to have forgotten about that because Ray's been off the screen for a jolly long time. And there's also the fact that obviously he's not Kevin or Tyrone's favourite people. I still don't know whether Fizz knows that Ray owns the garage now.
No, good point. So Ray comes round and he's like, look, I might be a serial molester, but I'm no racist. I apologise on behalf of Don. I
might be a rapist, but I'm not a racist. It's one letter, but it's a big difference.
I sacked him. You did a great job in the bistro, Ed. I tell you what, everybody, as a token of my apologies, please come to the bistro and have a meal on the house.
What a gent.
What a fantastic offer. Michael is on the phone to Grace. David...
Oh, this Grace story is moving so slowly.
What did I say David for? James wants to know what's going on. Michael doesn't really want to kiss and tell. But we know that's what happened, basically. Yes. They kissed. James says that the fact that Ed supports him so much is kind of making him feel like he wants to come out to the fans and make a public announcement about being gay. So over lunch, Aggie and Ed are sort of talking about James's future, and Ed's like, I'm just going to shut up.
He's like, James knows that I'm on his side. I'm going to keep my nose out now.
And that really was what we needed from him from the start, wasn't it? But it took him a while to get there, but he got there in the end. That's all you can really say about that.
Sexy locker room scene.
What voice was that?
I don't know.
Oh dear.
The voice of somebody who enjoyed that locker room scene for all its titillating glory.
Oh God. What was it? They spraying glycerin on everybody.
Oh yeah, there was a post on the Corrie makeup Instagram, and I don't know whether everybody follows them if you're on Instagram, but as well as the Coronation Street Instagram account, there's also one done by everybody who works in the makeup department. There's also often some nice behind the scenes photos and tidbits and everything like that, and they were talking this week about how often during that scene
James looking sleek as a wet otter.
Yeah.
Spraying him down with glycerin and stuff.
And Tommy O, don't forget. He's back.
Yeah. Now, Tommy O.
Tommy O, yeah. Am I right, ladies?
I can't continue co-hosting with you if you're going to be randy about...
I'm not randy for Tommy O.
What about James?
No.
Well, look, there's a bit
they can spray him with as much glycerin as they want.
After a certain point, I think it just becomes a bit too much.
I just think it's so funny how whenever there's like fresh blood on Coronation Street,
it's like, get their kits off,
get
their boobs out.
Yeah, how long until they have to get the top? I don't think this is the first time that James has had a topless scene. It's just that
I would be so embarrassed.
Is it really necessary?
Oh, can we not move on from this, people? Just wait till they're all brains in jars, then you won't have anything to look at.
Yeah, but to be fair, we did see that episode of Corrie from the first half of the 1960s, which had Ken just flagrantly having a naked bath in front of his dad and Uncle Albert. So Corrie has got a long history.
Equal opportunities, isn't it? We've seen more men half naked than women.
Yes, it's not equal at all.
So
I'm outraged.
Of course you want more naked women.
Yeah.
I won't ask you who
I'm not asking for Rosie back for no good reason.
For Christ's sake. Right, so we've got a bit
I could do without any nudity on Coronation Street, but I know that people like it.
You got to get that meerkat money coming in somehow.
It was very much in context. They were in a locker room after
They were in a locker room having banter.
Place where people traditionally get their kits off.
They were in a changing room. Yeah. So
we talked about this far too long. I apologise.
You seem a bit fixated. I'm gonna be polite. So anyway, there's locker room banter, isn't there? About
he says
Tommy
it's
O's
banter.
There, James there. They're making silly comments, and we haven't written them down.
There's one particular guy. He just is like, "Oh,
you
brought your boyfriend with you," or something like that.
And Tommy O's trying to defend him a bit. But James stands up for himself and he turns it back on the guy and says, "Oh, Tommy's not my type" and stuff. And he kind of joins in. It's incredible wit, as you can imagine.
Yeah, but everybody...
The standard of locker room banter in this country is unsurpassed.
Yeah, everybody thinks that James is hilarious for suggesting that Tommy
He said he was gay as well!
and the homophobe player is left suitably shamefaced.
Oh dear, he's not at the right level. Yeah, I mean...
I thought I was reading the room right, but...
No. There's no really other way around. I mean, it doesn't address homophobia at all, does it? It just kind of diffuses the situation a little bit. And I guess the only way to really get around it is to own it. And he did that.
He did own it, and he has come out to his fellow teammates. I think it was supposed to be a bit more of a triumphant moment that it came out to me, only because I was thinking at the time, I would have thought that this scene should have happened a long time ago.
But also, it feels, again... I can't remember. Oh, it was David Rape stuff where we literally had to watch him confess to every single person in detail about what had happened to him. And after a while, you don't need to see every person react to the same thing. Like James now has come out to every single person that he knows individually, and we've seen it happen every time. And there is not really that much, this didn't feel like... I guess the thing about
it's taking it closer and closer to his job, and his job is the big stumbling block or whatever.
That's
barrier.
True. But it felt like this should have been had been more impactful, but it wasn't because we've seen it happen before. But actually, this was very significant, and of course, every time he comes out to somebody, it's going to be significant in a different way.
Yeah.
So
I just was saying, I think I'm surprised this kind of banter hasn't happened before, because it's been rumoured that James has been gay for many, many months now.
Yeah.
Has he had to put up with this all this time, and today was the final straw that he's saying, no, he's not my type, yeah, I am gay? Or has just nobody mentioned it before? It just didn't... The timeline doesn't quite match up for me. Matter. It's very coincidental and handy that when it comes out was literally the episode after his father accepts him.
Yeah, all right. So on Wednesday, Tommy and James go to the Rovers, and James feels like, I did it, I came out, everybody knows, but I'm still worried because he's relieved that he doesn't have to go through this constant worry of should I or shouldn't I, whether or not it was right. He feels like it's done now.
Yeah, but he's still like the big one is it's still not public, is it?
Well, it's not public, and also just because in the moment people laughed and accepted it doesn't mean that there isn't more stuff going on behind the scenes, and there isn't somebody sitting there going, is this going to be too much of a headache? Do we need this hassle? Because we've spoken at length before about homophobia in football, and about how, it sounds, if you don't know the situation, you probably think I'm being really callous, but we've heard from first-hand accounts that behind the scenes, managers and people involved in the team behind the scenes tell players not to come out.
Yeah.
Gay players are told, don't reveal you're gay when you're playing. Just don't do it. And I don't know.
We have seen the Weatherfield county manager. We had that scene a few months ago, didn't we? And
he said, was like, do you want to do it or not?
I'll accept you either way.
I know, but
I'm wondering whether James is also a bit worried that this guy that he showed up in the locker room, he could turn around and spread it publicly. He could go to the Gazette or something and say, I've got the inside scoop, I'm a player on Weatherfield County. He is gay, he's admitted it.
Well, at the same time, people that are like that don't like being shown up. And he wasn't laughing along with everybody else.
No.
He could be a bit of a problem down the line. But yeah, he does.
James has got more to worry about on
James
Wednesday.
doesn't know if he's playing tomorrow, and the subtext is that this coming out might have affected his position on the team, which is something he's always been worried about. And Kirk is shunned. I don't know.
Oh, that was when Kirk came up and was like, "Hey, do you remember me? Boss of the Bee?"
And he thought he was part of the team, but
yeah, and James and Tommy are like,
go away.
Yeah, basically.
So James tells Michael that about what happened in the locker room, and now he thinks that because of that he's not going to be on the team. And Ed and Aggie come in, and Ed's really excited about the fact that there's a match, and he thinks that James is going to be playing at the weekend. And Michael's like, "Shut up! Don't talk about it." And so everybody in the Bailey family is tense and on edge and worried about whether Michael has been denied the opportunity to play because of his sexuality. Another stumbling block. For some reason they still decide to go to the bistro for their free dinner. What a way to ruin a free dinner. They're all sitting around a bit worried. James gets a phone call, but it turns out he's made the lineup. So that's another bottle of champagne out of Ray's pocket.
Yeah. I get a bit confused, and I don't think we're supposed to think into it too deeply, but I'm sure that when James came into it last year, he wasn't on the same bit of the team as Tommy O, and has he he's
been promoted somehow, and it seems to me as though he's the best player that ever existed. Because
he gave them their highest ever league player.
He got 3 baskets
placement.
In one half term.
He did a really good header, according to Kirk. He's got a song. What was the song? It was Miley Cyrus, wasn't it?
Bailey, he's the man. I like him because he can play football. Play football.
Not that. It was.
I must have dreamt that.
James Bailey, you can play football.
What?
Judy.
What?
It's. I just met you.
That's a different
Crazy.
person. That's. Oh dear, Carly Rae Jepsen.
I don't know who it is.
That's a different lady. There's more than one lady that sings now. They let more people do it now.
I don't know if it's not.
Adele come along, and then they were like, what about Lady Gaga? There's 2 of them now.
Anyway, he's on the team. He's done a really good job. He kicked some balls.
He kicked the ball into the hole.
Yeah, and nothing really much happens. It goes on to the Tiana and Grace stuff, doesn't it, after that?
Well, he's excited because he says he's going to go on holiday with Michael when the season's over. I don't know when the season is over. To me, it feels as though they're always playing football on the television. I genuinely don't. When they say the end of the season,
you need to spell that out to people like us.
I'm like, what does that mean? There's no such thing as the football season.
I literally don't know, and there's probably people like listen to us that don't believe us. That I've literally no concept of when the football season starts and ends. It seems like it's all the time.
Never ends.
Like you said. But
when
it doesn't really matter, does it? They're just going to go off to Marbella for a bit.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore because time is meaningless on Coronation Street, even more so than usual. So he's planned this and then he's gone and booked it. And Tiana Grace brings Tiana over and they're talking about how much she loves the trams. And she agrees to go for a drink with him later. But then James comes in and kills the mood by saying that he had booked the holiday. And then Grace is like, oh, I don't know anything about this. And then Michael's awkward because he hadn't mentioned it. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry if you need childcare and everything. But she's like, no, go on. I'm not sure how happy she is about him going off on this trip.
It's none of our business. How long are they going to go away? I know people on Coronation Street go on extortionately long holidays.
One thing that she did say was, oh, how can you afford that?
Yeah.
And then she looked a bit annoyed. But this makes me think that Grace is still somebody to worry about. Because I don't know. It's not clear to me yet whether we're supposed to think, oh, good, Grace and Michael, they're a great couple. She's going to be on the show. Be happy. But listen, the fact that she gave him a look and she was like, how can you afford that? Makes her seem greedy. Like she doesn't want him to spend money on himself. But I mean, as a mother, she would prioritise him spending money on Tiana before he spends money on himself. That's perfectly
At least
natural.
It means that she sees Michael has got a future in, Tiana's life. She's not just using him for a quick bit of babysitting.
Yeah, but she also obviously wants the money, which, again, fair enough. But perhaps the way that she reacted, like, oh, well, how can you afford that? We're supposed to be on edge and think, Michael deserves to go on holiday if he wants to.
I just don't trust Grace at the moment.
This is what I'm saying.
Today
I'm going to tear my hair out.
I'm agreeing with you.
And then at the end, when they said they were going on holiday, even though James said it was him that did it and he booked it without saying anything, she still looked, to me, a bit annoyed. Like she thinks she's got some kind of say in what, like you say, she doesn't say in what Michael does.
Well, they're going to have a drink together on Monday's episode, aren't they? They've planned it.
I've always been
feels like a fallout might be incoming.
Of a Grace apologist, because I've always said we know that Michael's a flake and we don't know what happened between them. And the only reason that we think we're siding with Michael is because he's the character that we know and we like him. Grace could have very legitimate reasons to...
I know, but she doesn't have to be such a miserable cow. She was nice today. She was like, put me on edge a little bit because she was actually like kind of light-hearted and smiley, wasn't she, at the beginning of that scene?
Yes, but my point is, did you not see what I just said?
Yes.
Did you agree with what I said?
Yeah. We'll wait and see. I just hope that they hurry up and have something happen. I think it
was significant that she said, how can you afford that? And then she looked annoyed.
Yes.
I'm just saying that.
I agree. We'll see. We'll see next week, won't we, everybody? What else?
I really like the fact that Tommy O was in this again. I find it quite adorable that every so often the celebrity footballer appears on the show. It's
like that's why they've still got him on the Corrie website.
I know, he's on the cast list on Coronation Street.
We've seen him more than we've seen Moira recently. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
Do you think he's going to keep coming back?
Oh yeah, definitely. Do
you think he's going to be a big part of the story, or is the story, kind of over now? Is there more to? Because it almost felt like everything's sold. Especially when he was allowed on the team on Wednesday, it felt like, it's all been nicely tied up with a neat bow, and they were a bit worried about whether he's going to be able to be on the team. But it's okay, he's on the team, everything's fine.
Well, like I said, they've set up James as some kind of football genius who is amazing at playing. And when he first joined the show, I remember saying that I didn't know what future he could possibly have in football, knowing that you cannot have... I think that the suspension of disbelief would be too much for us to believe that James is actually an England football team player and we just don't know who he is and he happens to be in Coronation Street. He can't be a famous international footballer and live in Weatherfield.
No.
So I'm still confused as to where this is going. I don't want to watch somebody's career get thrown away because they're gay, but that's what happens, and it feels as though he's
still a possibility. Yeah.
He is picking coming out.
Yeah.
As his Yeah.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Sorry. Oh.
No, I just don't think I'm explaining myself properly.
I think we're on the same page for this one. Winter Blues. Again, seems like it's had a nice neat bow put on the top of it.
So many problems with this story.
Well, let's see. Because, Wednesday's episode had me... I had quite a reaction to that scene, didn't I? We'll get there. Monday, so... Gemma did this vlog last week, didn't she? Where she
goes, it's all right to be sad sometimes, because babies is well hard, and I didn't realise. And now I went to one counselling session, and I can tell you with authority that sometimes you're sad, but don't worry about it.
Did you know that the big supermarkets are just after money?
Did you know that when you watch an advert, it's not real?
So Kathy thinks
it's all fake.
This is going to be the next big thing. I mean,
I don't think
PewDiePie, watch out! Here comes Gemma Winter.
Kathy knows what vlogging is, or that people do it already. She's like, "What? You made a video about your thoughts and put it on the internet? This could revolutionise everything, Gemma. I don't think you quite realise."
They haven't put it on the internet on Monday. Gemma's pleased that she's got it out of her system by talking, but she's like, "Remember that time when I was stuck in a turnstile and everybody found out about it because everything that anyone in Weatherfield puts on the internet instantly gets the whole world looking at it."
It's almost like they're in a version of the Truman Show where people watch everything they do.
I think you're onto something there. Anyway, she's got no intention of posting it. She's at home later on in the episode.
She's got no intention of posting it, but she's uploaded it to a website where, with just one click of a button, it could be instantly made public to anybody who wants to see it.
Yeah, because it was filmed on Kathy's phone, so it has been transferred from Kathy's phone onto some vlog.
Yeah, from her phone to a laptop to this site, and it's just sitting there. And she's made an account and everything.
I know.
Starting to find your
it was the idea that it was just supposed to be some sort of private vlog so that she could look at it herself and,
like she doesn't have the facility to look at
blue.
a video without uploading it to the internet.
Anyway, it doesn't matter because she's got this vlog there and she's looking at it and she's thinking, oh, maybe I should post it, maybe not, I don't know. But when Chesney comes back home, she slams that unplugged-in laptop shut. And he wants to see it, so she reluctantly agrees.
And he can't believe it either. Everyone who watches this thinks it's absolutely genius, don't they?
Yes, especially Bryn.
Bryn's a fan.
So, this is the silly scene on Wednesday. And I couldn't believe this. So, Chesney's looking at the video, and whenever they design something for Coronation Street computer screens, it's always like they're short-sighted because the resolution is set so high and all the bits that you want to see are in massive fonts. And there's this huge button that's like private and then the next to it public, just so we make sure we can see that. And then before you know
To be fair, they're dealing with lots of people who are not as clever and beautiful as what we are.
It might have, the button might have just said, put it on the internet.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, when David was going, when he was hiding in the garage place, that should have been the sound effect when Bryn's hand came out to like, whoop, click. Yes, Bryn has posted the video. The baby has posted Gemma's video online. He's made it public, and Chesney's reaction to this. What would you do? Sometimes, I don't know about you, Gemma, sometimes I've posted things online and accidentally when I haven't meant to, or I've posted them and I realised I made a spelling mistake or something.
Or I just write something stupid.
I've made a stupid joke
Dominic
and then thought actually that I shouldn't have said that. I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to undo my mistake. But Chesney's reaction to it is like,
this never happened.
If I just sneak out of the door, then it won't be my problem anymore. So he goes off with a gormless expression, off to go and shave some kebabs.
He's not wrong because it instantly became not his problem.
Yeah, but Gemma catches up with him later in Prima Donna. She's looking a little bit het up because she thinks that Kathy has uploaded it. I don't know how Kathy...
How does she think Kathy uploaded it to her account?
No questions about the technology.
Nobody
in
understands. In this world of Weatherfield, nobody understands how the internet works apart from Bryn, the baby.
Yeah. So she reckons Kathy's uploaded it, and Chaz says, actually, it was Bryn that did it.
They have this sad thing where Gemma's like going, oh, perhaps Bryn knew best, and he knew that I needed to upload it. I hate it when people do this with babies. Babies don't have any thoughts beyond I did a poo or I'm hungry.
When's the next milk round?
They don't have any philosophical ideas about anything. And they don't have spirits and souls and beautiful. They don't even know they're alive. Bless them, they're very sweet at times. Yes, they're gorgeous and wonderful. But they really don't have very much brain power. And they certainly don't believe that Gemma's thoughts about mental health are worth broadcasting to the nation because she put it so beautifully and wonderfully, and unlike anybody else who'd ever come before her.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so Gemma, rather than they briefly debate, why didn't you take it down, or should we take it down, or something, and
literally anything I post, I don't need to worry about if people see it or not. Nobody.
Gemma should have attacked him with a carving knife, like when she found out that it was him.
That's what comedy Gemma would have done.
She's like, you need to get that down straight away. And Chesney's like, but look, the whole world has already seen this, and you've already got loads of nice comments about
your bazungas.
And oh yeah, nice bazookas. So yeah, there's some pervert that's looking after Gemma and going for, and other people are saying, oh, I also have problems. I've also got postnatal depression. That's exactly how I feel. I was also ripped off by Freshco's that one time. I don't know.
Cereal.
So Gemma realises that this is the way forward, and she's bolstered on by the positive response that her first video has got, so she decides to do another one. And the second monologue that she goes on goes so long it ends up narrating the start of the following scene. It's like the Coronation Street people are like, right, we need to get back to the Oliver story now, and Gemma just keeps on going.
She's talking about babies.
Perfect, yeah.
I can't remember what she talked about, but I just hated it. Because Gemma is not a particularly eloquent character. But that never stops Coronation Street, really, from putting words into people's mouths when they want to make a big speech or have a soliloquy. But I just thought that nothing she said was groundbreaking or and it felt like she was talking from a position of authority about how to overcome what she had been through. But she really has only just begun her journey, and I find it very obnoxious that we're led to believe that she's cured now, and she's so far along her recovery that she's advising other people, and as though also nobody knew about postnatal depression before she came along and got it, which is wildly egotistical and offensive.
If it means that we've seen the end to this story, then I'm not complaining. But it did seem like it was tied up very, very neatly. I hated Bryn posting the video. When he was sitting there, I was thinking, they're not going to do this, are they? They're not going to have Bryn accidentally press the button and upload it. There's so many things that are wrong with the way that they did that. Like you said, where's the vlog come from? How on earth does anybody find this vlog? Did they have any texts to go with it? You can't just put a video on the internet. And
so she uploaded it and she titled it and put all the hashtags in, and then went, I'm not going to ever put this public because I don't want people to see it.
I mean, I've been uploading Conversation Street stuff to YouTube for the past 6 months, and I haven't had half as much hits as Gemma seems to have got on that one video. I'm just saying, I do nice little graphics to go with it and everything.
I just think
we did make it on Corrie Good News this week, so
yeah, exactly.
We got a foot in the door now to this online video world, and
now we're just trashing the show, as a thank you.
Oh yeah.
I really didn't like it. I thought it was presumptuous and
I just hated how Chesney's reaction to it.
I know, but Chesney was stupid. Also,
ooh.
It's like Corrie knows that vlogs exist, and they wanted to have it because they thought that people would think, oh, that's a thing that I know about and like. But it was offensively bad. People do this as a profession, and they're not amateurs. The people that upload vlogs and make a profession out of it spend a lot of money on equipment, and you can get quite far from speaking from the heart and being raw and honest. But Gemma's not the first person to have ever spoken frankly about postnatal depression on a video website. She's not breaking any new ground.
No. It's a bit like Bethany with her hair tutorials, isn't it? I'm sure she's not the first person to have shown someone how to do a French plait online,
That's
but
true.
still,
I know.
everybody found it.
I think we're being a bit harsh. I think Corrie...
What?
Corrie, I just don't know what to say. I just think the whole story has been misjudged, and I don't know. I think that it's difficult as well for me to sympathise. I find her a difficult champion for postnatal depression because I think that she's got 4 children. She's not easy to relate to, even if you are a woman who has postnatal depression, who's going through it right now. How can you see Gemma as a role model? She's got 4 kids.
We've heard from listeners who've said what Gemma's going through I completely understand, even though I haven't got quads, and I'm sure there are
no one's got quads.
I'm sure there are some people who were watching her soliloquy going, God, yeah, that is exactly how I feel.
I just thought she put on... I'll tell you one thing,
I'm not the intended audience for this storyline.
I know,
clearly.
Yeah, that's the trouble. And I don't normally criticise performances, but I think sometimes she does a baby voice for Gemma when she's trying to explain things to people, and she just sounds thick, and she's not supposed to be somebody who... She's supposed to be unintelligent, but that baby voice that she put on just kind of got my goat.
Yeah. Oh,
like, she's trying to be vulnerable and stuff, and it just got me wrong way.
Yasmin, Gemma. Mm-hmm. Yasmin, what's she been getting up to
Is
today?
it my go? I thought it was your go.
I'll go. So, we get to another Yasmin scene. They're really getting rationed out to us, aren't they, these Yasmin appearances? In the last 3 weeks, she's made very, very sporadic appearances. But today's one was Alia going to visit her in the prison. And this is the first time that she's been able to see her since the start of this whole ordeal. And they tried to kind of explain it, didn't they? Alia's like, oh, why haven't I been able to speak to you? But it's basically... this story wasn't in rotation, no more questions.
Well, no, I think it's fair. Yasmin looks like she has been through the ringer, and she's unbalanced.
Absolutely, she's a broken woman, isn't she? And when Alia comes to see her,
I just want to say something as well. It's very difficult to talk about mental health and characters that are experiencing a crisis without using words which have stigma attached to them, because the language about mental health up until very recently has been one of just the sort of discrimination, and so when we talk about these things, sometimes we might use terms that people don't like, but it's difficult to think of a way of saying things, and I'm trying really hard.
Our heart's in the right place.
I know, but I try to sometimes retain words that are a bit negative for comedic purposes, like, oh, she's gone crackers or barmy or something. But in this situation, it's difficult to think of the right words to use to describe what's happening to Yasmin, because also I don't really understand what's happening to her, and I don't know how this relates to her abuse as well. I don't know if this
she's just
reaction.
Struggling to come to terms with the fact that what's happened, and she's been answering all these questions apparently, and she's saying to Alia, look, I don't want to talk about Jeff. All I've been talking about for the past however long I've been in here is Jeff, what happened. But it's Alia saying...
Well, she's been interrogated, hasn't she? She would have been asked by the police many times. I mean,
it looks like she's just come out of the Chinese water torture chamber, to be fair, doesn't she? The way that she does
acting. Look a bit like... I mean, she's being mentally tortured by her memories of what happened.
Yeah, and she just can't... She, as, you'd expect for the drama, she's still not been able to break away from the control that Jess had on her, because she's saying it was my fault, I did it, I shouldn't have done it. It
really feels like she's been brainwashed.
Yeah, Alia's trying to say, no, this is all him, look at what he's done to you, and she's like, no, it was my fault, I shouldn't have done it. Alia's saying, what are you going to say in court? You can't say that in court. And Yasmin's like, it's down to me, I'll say whatever I like in court, it's my business what I say. And she ends up getting totally overwhelmed and leaves Alia on her own.
Shouting at her. Yeah. Gran.
Yeah. Tell you what, this week in Coronation Street, these prison visits didn't go so well, did they?
No, I think they should close the
both ended up
down.
with people shouting at the others as they left. So anyway, Jeff is out of hospital. He's down there by Studio 2.
He's playing the the cowed victim, isn't he?
He seems to have come out very
subdued.
quickly, even more so considering we've only had 3 episodes a week. It would have been a rather miraculously quick recovery.
No. He just needs to have his
put a bandage on,
put some blood back in, and stitch him up.
Oh, fine, he's all right.
Well, he didn't hurt his legs, did he? He can walk.
Yeah. He figures there's no use crying over Yasmin anymore. He just wants to go home, get on with his life, and that's that. But however, not so fast indeed. When they get there, they find that the locks have been changed, which Ali did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I remembered that just as they got to the door. I was like, "Oh yeah!"
And there's a bit of a confrontation through the window, and it's very lucky that house number 6 has got a bit of a bay window coming out there, because it was like Alia at the bottom, Ryan on top of us saying, "No, you can't come in."
Staging. I would kill for a house like this, where I could just nip my head around the corner to see the house at the door before I have to commit myself to answering it.
Yeah, that's true. I wanted it to be a little bit more, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
We're peering out the window going, "Get away, your mother!"
Yeah. Your mother's a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries. That's where it should have been. Yeah. But, I mean, Ryan was having the time of his life. Which did surprise me a little bit, because I thought that when Alia changed the locks...
He was going, "This is a bad idea."
Yeah.
But I think he's probably like in for a penny, in for a pound at this stage. He really has no choice but to just go in wholeheartedly.
Yeah, he was being a very supportive boyfriend, and he doesn't want to let Jeff into the house. So
he was going, "Go on, Jeff, jiggle it, Jeff."
Oh, yeah, he was. He was like,
he was great.
Yeah, that's his trigger, isn't
it? Alia was just righteous indignation. "You're not getting in this house. Leave my family alone." But Ryan was like, "Yeah, Jeff, you can't come in."
I loved it.
He's so childish.
I love how the jiggle at Jeff has turned into this.
Yeah.
This, and I wonder whether that was the plan all along, or whether whoever wrote that episode with the magic box just threw it in there, and people, caught on to the idea, because everybody's saying it, and it's just it's the one thing that's making Jeff, twitch almost. And I wonder whether Jiggle It Jeff is going to be, there in his final scene when he eventually gets his comeuppance.
I can't imagine anybody sort of like pumping the shotgun and going, "Jiggle it, Jeff," and then firing a round into his face. But let's just pretend that's what happens.
Anyway, they go back to Sally's house, and Sally is still not appearing to be quite so brainwashed by Jeff as Tim is. Tim sort of called him for the police.
Jeff didn't need to brainwash Tim. Tim is doing what any son would do, and taking his father's side when he has seen nothing to indicate that Jeff has done anything to deserve any of this.
No. Tim's phoned the police, so I guess they're going to show up on Monday's episode. So Sally just...
Sorry, the ring road again.
Yeah. Sally just doesn't like all the bad mouthing of Yasmin that's going on, it seems. So
yeah, well, Tim says she is mad, and Sally says she might have mental health issues, Tim, but that is antiquated language that discriminates against people.
It's very politically correct. She did used to be the mayor,
She didn't say that. She just said, "Shut up."
Anyway, meanwhile, Jeff has kind of snuck away from this argument to check out the video of number 6 on his phone.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, the camera's still there and Jeff can still see everything, and you're just going to have to suspend your disbelief and accept that is what has happened, and the camera is invisible to the naked eye.
Yes, it feels like that camera is going to maybe play a part in Monday's episode as
well.
Also,
it must be wired into the mains, because it's certainly not running on batteries, is it?
No. And it's like, is it saved in the cloud? Is it being saved onto his laptop? We've had this conversation before, haven't we?
Yeah. I
think we've already just come to the conclusion in this episode that Coronation Street and technology
don't mix. I did very brief research, and I didn't really put a lot of effort into this, because I was really interested to know what is the legal situation, what can Alia do, and I don't really know. And I also wonder, is this one of those weird things where the police will come and go, "Oh, it's a civil matter"?
Squatters' rights.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people will do something and the police will go, "No, there's nothing we can do about it, it's a civil matter." And you're like that time somebody backed into me in the car park and the police were like, "Oh, it's private land." It's like, what? So, okay, so I can murder somebody in my garden and you won't interrupt me? Like, there's a certain level of crime that the police will accept in sort of these invisible boundaries that you didn't know existed until something happens to you. And then the police are like, "Nothing we can do."
No, I don't think Alia's got a leg to stand on here.
But sometimes property rights are not as simple as you would think that they are.
No, I know, but I think Jeff's going to be in that house on Monday. I think he's going to be let in, and
I don't think that Alia can stop him, and I don't think she had the right to change the locks.
No, she really
because it's a joint property for once they got married.
Mm. How did you feel about Yasmin's behaviour? Were you kind of... I was a little bit watching it going, oh, come on. Because there's got to be the time when she...
I wish she wasn't acting so spaced out.
Yeah.
I want her to...
I was hoping that after these, a few weeks had passed, that she'd have got over that.
To get, like, I'll gussy up a bit and sort of go... I want her to be... I don't necessarily... I can see where they're going with this story, but I think that we can make Yasmin a bit less...
She doesn't have to be quite so, pathetic about it.
Yeah, pathetic, yeah. I would like her to be like, look,
I sympathise with her already. You don't need to make her act like this.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly realistic, though. A woman like Yasmin thrown into prison, and after having done that and gone through all that, of course she would be. But as a fictional character that I'm watching for entertainment, I would actually like her to be a bit more like, even if they want to maintain the storyline that she believes that she's done wrong, to just be like, Alia, all my life I've taught you to do the right thing, and when you've done something wrong, you have to admit to it, and I did the wrong thing, and I know that you think you know what went on with me and Jeff, but he did nothing to deserve this. Nobody could ever do anything to deserve being attacked in their own home. You know, she could still be a strong person but be misguided. I just don't know where we're going with Yasmin.
Well, she's just gonna blub in front of the judge, isn't she?
I know. I don't really like the idea of Yasmin. I tell you what it is. It feels as though Jeff's completely won and sort of turned her into this subservient, mindless drone. But he's done it and he's not even there. Like, she's done it to herself. He's given her all these weapons and she's turned them against herself. Yeah. Almost. It feels like he's still winning.
Well, one thing I'm pleased with is that this storyline is back in the mix again, because I've missed it for the last few weeks.
It's nice to see.
And I'm guessing that at least every episode next week we'll be able to see a bit more of this, because it's only just got going. And the same with the Asher Flashers story.
There's so many things I want to know what's going to happen.
I know. So I was just quite a bit surprised that this came back, because as I said earlier, I thought it was over. But Dev has now discovered some internet company that makes it harder to find Asher's video online or something like that. He said, hasn't he? This is his new little project, and Asher just wants him to leave it alone. She knows that video is up there. It's out there. Everybody's seen it. Once you put it online, you can't get rid of it.
I don't think he's wrong. I think. There have been very notorious cases in the past where people have tried to hide stuff on the internet and it doesn't work because people find out they're trying to, and it's a high profile thing to start with. But I think Asher's situation is fairly... Nobody knows who she is outside of her school friends. Nobody's going to notice if that video gets taken down. And
it feels like Dev came across a bit like Leanne this week to me. That
like in denial?
In denial that this is an unsolvable situation.
I'm interested because I'm interested to see how this goes, because I think that there are actually... I think there are actually ways of doing this.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
But we know that there are cases where it can't be done. Like, for example, isn't it called the Barbara Streisand syndrome or something, because she wanted to hide where her house was, and because she made such a fuss about it, it only drew attention to the fact that she was trying to hide it, and then now everybody knows about it. Yeah,
which is maybe why Asher's saying to her dad, just leave it alone, but he can't. And he didn't intend to go into school to sort it out today, but he gets called in because Archie's been in a fight with Corrie, but it just very quickly turns into Dev having a go at poor Mr. Griffin, the head teacher, for not having done enough following the incident.
Look, and
the head teacher is made to look like he's been,
this is exactly what happened with Don, whatever his name is, last week, where he just stood there while Ed berated him. In real life, the head teacher would probably point out that he has 1,000 children in his school, and only one of them's in the internet in a pornography website.
And at the end of the day, what could the school have done?
It's not the school's responsibility.
It's an outside of school issue, for one thing.
Yeah, to stop children uploading porn to the internet.
Yeah,
of themselves.
And they gave them lessons about it.
They would have been told about this. They get told about it. We learned about this, didn't we?
There's absolutely nothing, I believe, that the school could have done to have made it okay. And should Mr. Griffin have expelled Corrie or what's her face, Kelly?
I don't know. I don't care really.
I don't think it's his job really for that, and that
maybe
I think he
probably should have expelled the pair of them. Honestly,
I don't know what.
But that might have actually led to Asher being bullied.
Yeah, maybe.
How can he control what people? I mean, you can educate people, but you can't make them use the knowledge. And I think everybody knows this.
I know we're obviously supposed to be on Dev's side here, but as a fellow educator, I do hope that Mr. Griffin, grows a pair by Monday's episode and is able to at least fight his corner a little bit.
They won't ever do this, though, do they? They just want. I mean, you can totally understand Dev as a parent. Of course, he's going to want to blame the school or anyone he can and say that they should have done something, but they can't anticipate every single problem and protect every single kid and stop them from making mistakes. And it's just unfortunate that the mistakes that children can make now can be on the internet for everybody to see, which would never happen when we were kids. And they were talking about that in the cabin, weren't they, with Evelyn, Dev, Mary, James and Michael. Although people still don't seem to understand, and it's always older people who don't get. Millennials are not teenagers or young people. Millennials are our age. Millennials have their own children. They're in their 30s. They were the people that came of age in the millennium, not children that were born in the millennium.
It was Evelyn that says it. She didn't know what she's talking about.
I thought it was Dad. Well, I don't care who it is. We need to but we have to define these things because people don't. People seem to use.
I don't think it really matters. I don't care whether I'm a millennial or a generation whatever.
It does to me because you can't just. People use the word millennial to describe anyone who's doing something they don't like that's younger than them, and words have meanings.
Right.
I'm gonna say words have meanings, and I think you're being very blasé about it.
Okay, well, you decide what I am, and then what am I then? I'm a millennial, am I?
We're actually Zennials, which is the one between Generation X and millennials, because we're elder millennials.
Okay.
Right at the very beginning of the millennial age.
Well, now my life has meaning.
Definitely, we came of age before social media. We were teenagers before social media, and it makes a big difference.
Mm.
The worst thing that ever happened to us when we were at college is we went on chat rooms and probably said a bunch of stuff about ourselves that we shouldn't have revealed to people. But it was like in 1999, and the only thing you could really do apart from that was play solitaire.
Okay, Gemma. So what are we making of this week's Coronation Street? I think it's time that we came up with some sort of score, maybe out of 5 for this week's episode.
I think we should do it out of 10 today.
No. I'm going to say it was okay. It felt like, with some of the stories, they didn't make a huge amount of progress. And I know I can't blame Coronation Street on that too much because it was only, half a week really that we really saw. There wasn't a whole lot this week that, really got my blood pumping and made me go, oh, what's going to happen next? But equally, I wasn't bored by it. So, to me, it felt like a very solid 3 nice bazookas out of 5.
The thing is this is the thing that really is baffling and boggling my mind with Corrie at the moment. It's 3 episodes a week. It's only on 3 days a week. But I still feel like so much is happening. I can't believe it's so much. They're packing so much into it. And then I think, imagine if this twice as much stuff happened. I can't imagine it. It'll
be funny when we go back.
I think I'm not going to be able to cope.
I didn't feel like loads and loads.
Michael, we had a fight. We had Shona coming back. That's pretty big. We had
James came out.
Coming out and the locker room stuff. We had
Gemma goes viral.
Lots of stuff happened. We had a baby uploading a video to the internet because it's 2020 and that's the reality that we live in now.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it, what did you give it out of?
3. Nice bazookas.
I'm going to give it 3.5 bad drawings of a train.
Fine.
Because I think Harry perhaps doesn't understand perspective very well and his shading was poor. But he had the basics and the fundamentals.
It was a nice rectangle, wasn't it?
And he filled this page up, which I'm going to say, quite often kids aren't very good at.
I didn't think he did. I thought it was just at the bottom.
No, but I don't think he's finished. I think he's got sky to
do. So the character of the week this week.
Difficult. Shona.
Why?
No.
I'm thinking that Sarah Lou could have a bit of a shot, to be honest, because she's a newly married woman
Who doesn't care about her husband.
Yeah, how's that married life going,
Don't get
Sarah?
tied down to one man, that's what I say.
And she's found the time in this honeymoon period to go over to Leeds to help her dear sister-in-law get back on track. And she didn't need to do that.
And and we love a gossip, don't we? Shona, guess what?
And she's got a factory to help sort out as well, hasn't she? Because Nick wasn't there. Nick was at the hospital.
We didn't mention is that Michael started his new job at the factory on Friday, and we never got to see him do anything. But I imagine on Monday we might get some scenes of him in the factory because he's gone to buy milk, and I presume that milk will be turned into a delicious beverage of some variety.
Maybe. Or do we give it to Leanne? Am I giving it to Jane?
Oh no, it's got to be Leanne. It's Leanne because Jane Danson as. I mean,
she was the standout performance of the week for me.
In the past, I've said I didn't really like Leanne. Then over the past few years, she's grown on me and she's become pretty tolerable. But now,
high praise.
But yeah, it doesn't matter because her performance is so raw and human. It doesn't matter what the personality of the character she's playing is. She's so human and vulnerable, and. You don't need to be a parent to see and be affected by what is happening to the character. I think she's doing such a great job.
She is. I think she's the one that stood out to me the most, to be fair. And although Sarah was, she did a good job. Jane's performance is what sold it to me. So I'm giving it 3 nice bazookas and Jane, Leanne is my character of the week.
I also think we need to give a nod to Nick.
I was thinking that.
Because he was really good at the old... What word did
Kablamo.
He use? Kablamo.
Nick, I feel bad for him still. He's on the edge. He's on the outskirts, isn't he?
Yeah.
We didn't see that much of that this week. Last week it was a lot more of Nick being edged out the way and how yeah.
This week it was just the theme was Leanne is slowly losing her grip on reality and not accepting the facts, and you can't blame her. And I almost I'm glad for her that she has this small period of time in which she has hope.
Could give a character of the week to Michael, coming out in front of his teammates, big thing to do.
Michael or James?
James. James.
Yeah.
No, Leanne, isn't it?